a game for the ages. North Central takes down Mount Union 59-52 in the second round of the NCAA Division III playoffs, and we've got to break it all down. Head coach Jeff Thorne is on the show to talk about that, and our Cardinal Corner, a preview of the third round matchup. We've got all that and more next on the Red Zone.
The presenting sponsor of the Red Zone is Athletico, the preferred provider of physical therapy and athletic training for North Central College.
Welcome into the Red Zone, and oh my goodness, what a game. This is going to be a really fun breakdown. I've been looking forward to this for a few days. Head coach of the football team, Jeff Thorne. I'm just so eager. I didn't even introduce you.
Okay.
So, all right, you match each other in scores for the first 3 possessions each, you and Mount Union.
Yeah.
They missed that extra point, but at that point in time, you know, a lot of people had already written you guys off. Mount Union's this powerhouse. You stick with them through the first quarter. What's going through your mind? You know, you're up 21-20 at that point.
Hopefully we can get some stops.
Yeah.
You know, and we talked about it during the week. We knew it was going to be a huge challenge to slow their offense down. We talked last week how loaded they are with talent. It's just it's an embarrassment of riches that they have from an athletic standpoint. So our defense was really in a tough spot all week in preparation. We're watching film. How do we go about slowing these guys down? We made a couple mistakes and busted coverage early in the game a few times. And then, you know, we go ahead 21-20, and then all of a sudden they run off 18 straight points, score right before the half, which, you know, in our program, we talk all the time about late half scores and how important they are because they can break the back and take the will of your opponent.
Yeah.
So, you know, we go in, and that's the concern. Are the guys going to be able to bounce back? I know, I'm confident. We get the ball back, and that was just our rallying cry. Like, guys, just keep swinging.
Yeah.
Fight one more round. We get the ball back. Let's score.
Yeah.
Put some pressure on them and see how they respond. Well, they respond on the second play with a 66-yard touchdown. You know, this thing's going to go back and forth. I thought the biggest play of the game was, you know, we're down 10 again.
Yeah.
And it's 4th and 1 from our 19-yard line. And the thought process was if we punt, we've not been able to stop them. Here we go, guys. Let's go. And we ran the football, put it on our offensive line and Ethan, and he gets about 4 yards, and we keep that drive. Next play, I think we hit a 59-yarder to Drew and punched it in, and it's okay. Pressure's on you again.
Yeah.
And then our defense really settled in. You know, we gave up 14 points in the second half with one of those scores being the second play of the half.
Yeah.
So really, third quarter and fourth quarter, we held them 7 points.
Yeah.
Really proud of the way our kids fought on defense under extreme pressure and difficult circumstances. And Jake Beasley was tremendous in the second half. We really kind of gave him a little bit of help, but he got stuck on number 1 by himself a lot in the second half and came up huge. Got some pressure on the quarterback when we needed it most.
Yep.
And so that was really satisfying to see how our guys fought.
The moment itself for your defense, how monumental was it to prove to themselves we can stop this team?
Yeah, you know, they got the first fourth quarter drive that penetrated inside our 20, and it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and we put pressure on him, and I think he maybe scrambles out and gets a couple, but now it's 4th and 3.
Yeah.
We get heat on him. I can't remember who got hands on him, but might have been Cam Martin, and he dumps the ball down to number 1, and he catches at his toes, and they're short.
Yeah.
Turn the ball over on downs. I think that was big to give our guys confidence that last drive they could do it again.
Yeah.
And they did, and it all came down to getting pressure on number 12.
All right, offensively, we haven't even talked about Brock. I don't think I've mentioned Brock Rudder's name or Andrew Kamienski. Brock throws for 5 touchdowns.
Were they there? Did they play?
I think so.
They did? Okay.
I think I saw them on a program, ESPN or something like that a few times.
Yeah.
But that was, for me, Brock's performance was as it was a gut check. It was every time you needed him, regardless of what the situation was, he came up with a play, whether it was fitting a ball in on 4th down or running for a first down. We'll talk about the punt and check the tape. I have never seen a more gutty performance, I think, from the quarterback position than what I saw on Saturday.
It reminded me a lot of his freshman year, Wheaton College here, where we beat him 35, 25, or 26, can't remember the exact score, but it was very similar. He used his legs in that game, took hits, and refused to let us lose.
Yeah.
And between he and Andrew, look, our whole team played their ever-living tails off, but there was a little something different about those two guys.
Yep.
How they played, their resolve, just the relentless approach of we're not losing it. And you felt it on the sideline, too. You know, that voice, I kept hearing it, keep swinging, keep fighting. And at halftime, you heard Brock's voice and Andrew's voice. That's how you win.
Yeah.
That's how you beat great teams, is you've got players who say, we're not losing today, guys. We got this. And that's what Brock and Andrew did.
All right, so then you win. Brock kneels it down, which I thought was a fitting moment. You know, he gets to end that game, and then the celebration starts. And I can't end this segment without asking also, having your dad there. The last time he was on the field at Mount Union, 1 point away from a championship game. He coached for one more year.
Yeah.
And he was on your coaching staff for a number of years. But just the raw emotion that I saw after the game between you two it was unbelievable.
Yeah, we're 3 days removed, and it's still, yeah, it's emotional. It was neat.
The family atmosphere I thought was unbelievable. The fan support that showed up. This is a 6.5-hour drive.
Yeah.
You know, it's not walking down the road to Wheaton. You know, the fans showed up. The families were there. It was pretty unbelievable. And obviously a great win, 59-52. We're not done with this game because we got to check the tape. But then we will eventually, I promise, turn the attention to Delaware Valley because that is the next opponent.
They're pretty good.
They have to be pretty good. It's the quarterfinal. So we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back on the Red Zone.
This Red Zone segment is brought to you by Arena Americas, specialists in providing full-service rental solutions for events and special occasions of all sizes.
And we're back with Check the Tape, and there was unlimited plays to choose from, but I had to go with the funny one first. Funny for us because we didn't expect it. I know you guys kind of did, but the Brock Rutter punt, 62 yards.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? The guy that's an All-American quarterback just punts the ball. He now leads the program history in, yards average.
Yeah. We knew he could do that. I mean, we messed around with it last year. And a few weeks ago, it just kind of crossed our mind like, hey, we need to look at this again. We go for it on fourth down quite a bit now. Mm-hmm. We're taking a pretty aggressive approach, and we've got a quarterback and guys that we really trust. So leaving our offense out there, the defense has to account for that. And if they don't line up right, we're going to run play.
Yeah.
So for him to do that in that situation, was I expecting a 62-yarder? No. But am I shocked? Really, no. I mean, he does a great job in practice, gets all excited about it, and talks trash to the guys. So that was fun. Yeah.
That was awesome. That was a lighthearted moment in a game that was just a heavyweight match.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, we're going to stick with Brock, but this is a throw to Andrew Kamienski on 4th and 6th, and you just mentioned that you're taking a more aggressive approach. This was the epitome of it. I think you were somewhere around midfield, maybe just over midfield in MU territory, but connects on a pass that the window had to have been basically the size of the football.
Yeah, that one went 71 yards, so we were at our 39, 29-yard line.
Yeah.
Yeah. They gave us a man look. We were kind of expecting that.
Yeah.
And he's got a couple options there. When 11's out there, that's always one of the options. And what a throw. Drew breaks the tackle, and the rest is history. But he put that throw literally between Drew's 2 1s on his jersey. It was perfect. It was right in his chest.
My goodness.
Big-time throws in big-time situations.
Yeah, impressive. 3rd one, and we go back to the defensive side. We were talking about this before we hopped on, this was a pretty big turning moment. The intentional grounding, but his knee was close to hitting the ground, but Isaiah Ziegler was there, came around at a stunt, it looked like, with Taha. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you don't expect to see a guy who's 315 pounds running a stunt from the inside out and looping around, but there's Isaiah.
He's like 313, let's say. No, actually, Isaiah's actually down around 300 pounds. He's lost a lot. But for a guy his size, he's extremely athletic. He wrestles here too. I mean, he's really, his short 10-yard movement is extremely quick for a guy that size. And all-conference player. He's had a great year, but that was an enormous play to get hands on him. And he's on the way to the ground, throws the ball away, and it didn't pass the line of scrimmage, so it was the right call. And that set them back behind the chains for the first time all day. Yeah. And then we came up with the big third down stop. I want to say that was their field goal, wasn't it? Or did we get a fourth down
turnover
stop?
He fumbled it technically,
That's
but it was
right,
going to be turnover.
Right, 4th and 5, they went for it, and they lost the football. Yeah, huge play.
Yeah. All right, let's get to Delaware Valley, or Del Val, as they go by. Yeah. I know nothing about them. I've had to try and read up a little bit. We're still a little bit removed from the game coming up on Saturday, but I know you're head deep in this stuff. What do they present? What are they looking at?
A lot of speed. They've got some transfer players on the defensive side, a Penn State transfer at corner, and 2 guys that are brothers that are really talented defensive linemen, both coming from Temple. Their safeties are both really athletic guys. I mean, across the board, they're the number 2 defense in the country. Yeah. So they're very good, formidable defense again. Offensively, they've got a running back that's kind of a scat back, and they do a lot of jet motion stuff with kids that can really run. And they've got one receiver who's about 6'4", 6'5", that is really dynamic, that we're going to have to know where he's at all the time. He had 3 touchdowns last week in the game against Wesley. Wow. So they're very good at this point. As we talked off camera, every team that's still alive right now is extremely talented. Yeah. And there's going to be a lot that you got to prepare for, and Del Val is no different.
Yeah. Things to do on the road. What is your favorite thing to do on a road trip?
I'm so boring. I think I told you this earlier this year. It's just reviewing the game plan, make sure you have all your I's dotted, T's crossed, but then just sitting back, relaxing, and watching some Friday night football, watch what some other teams are doing, and just enjoy being a fan of the game, which I am. Just watching some football and relaxing.
You've had 5 days of prep. How much tweaking or tinkering are you doing in those final hours before you go to bed before game day?
If there's anything that you see that maybe, okay, wow, I missed that. And that's not very common, but sometimes that's happened, and all of a sudden, hey, you got something that you talk to one of the coordinators about, just make sure they're aware of. And then just gentle reminders. One of the things I jotted down going into the game Saturday as a reminder on my note card was, we wanted to possess the ball and wanted to run the football. 43 times was, what I wrote down. Like, we need 43. That's historically been a number that's been kind of the Mendoza line. Yeah. And we hit 42. So when I looked at the stat sheet, I thought, oh, wow, hey, it's pretty good.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. Well, good luck against Delaware Valley. And, man, who knows? Maybe we'll be back in the semifinals.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kevin.
Coming up next, we'll have a couple of players joining me on set. We'll be right back for the Red Zone.
This Red Zone segment is brought to you by Jimmy John's.
So many plays to choose from, but this has to be it, right? With North Central trailing Mount Union 45-42, the Cardinals go to their bread and butter, which rhymes with the guy who throws this touchdown. The trust that Brock Rutter has in Andrew Kamienski is evident with this late adjustment for the touchdown, and the duo, once again, earns the Red Zone's play of the game.
And we're back for the Red Zone. Andrew Kamienski joins me on set. And Andrew, this was just a thrilling game. And I was on the field before it, and you guys were kind of interacting, and it was different. You guys were so locked in, so intense. And for a team that is already really good at kind of zeroing in on what you need to do, I felt like you took it to another level pre-game. Did that help, obviously, in the game?
Yeah, we knew coming in that we needed a whole different level of focus and a whole different preparation level. And then getting there and realizing that and knowing that Mount Union was going to talk to us before the kickoff, before the national anthem, but while we were warming up. And I think everyone just had the same goal and mentality of like, okay, we're not here to get bullied around. They're not going to push us around like how they traditionally try to do. And that we wanted to make a statement from the opening kickoff that we're for real and that we're ready to play.
And then you guys swapped touchdowns through the first 6 possessions. What was going through your mind when you just kept trading punches?
It was no shock to us. We knew coming in that they had the number 2 offense, we had the number 1 offense, and that it was going to be a shootout. We needed to score 55-plus points to win, and we knew that coming in. And we knew our defense was going to struggle with their NFL receiver and their quarterback being who he is. We knew it was going to be a struggle for them, but they came up big when they had to, and we knew it was going to be a 4-quarter shootout. It was going to come down to the last possession.
There were so many moments in this game that I thought were pivotal. One of those turning points, it felt like a turning point, was when they went on the 18-0 run right before the half. And we talked post-game about that moment where you had to kind of look at yourselves and go, like, is this really how we want to go down, or are we going to battle back? What was that conversation like?
So in the locker room, we all came up to each other. We knew we were getting the ball. We knew we deferred, so we knew we were receiving the second half kickoff, and we were down 10, and we all just had the mindset of let's just go score, keep doing our thing. We have to score points to beat this team. So it wasn't nobody panicked, nobody was in shock. We knew we had to score points to win.
You guys were extremely aggressive. 4th down, 3rd down, you guys were taking shots. And on that first possession in the second half, Brock found you for the 71-yard touchdown. How big was that moment for you guys to know that you guys could bounce back and did bounce back?
Yeah, right then and there we knew, okay, we're not out of this yet.
Yeah.
They went on that 18-0 unanswered run, and as that play went on and that touchdown happened, everyone on the sideline just had a whole different, like our second life came back up, and everyone knew, okay, these guys aren't going to let us lose, and everybody just followed.
Mount Union was the number 2 ranked defense in the country coming into this game. How was the offensive line able to find success against that defensive front that looked, beastly?
It was just a mindset. They knew they were coming in, that they matched up size well, that there wasn't any physical specimen that they couldn't handle, and they just all stuck together. It was preparation in practice, preparation during the week, knowing that if we stick together, we go out and just don't be afraid, don't back down to anybody, that they can block and do anything they want against anybody in the country.
4 touchdowns in this game. Each one was more impressive, and the 4th one was the most because, and I want to get your perspective on this. I know there's a lot of options in the routes that you run. The coach said it was a double move into the back of the end zone. You were supposed to sit on one side of that middle linebacker, who was a pretty big dude.
Yeah.
And Brock threw the football on the other side of him, and you just seamlessly adjusted to it. And it looked like you were talking on the phone, or like you were talking, hey, shift this way.
Yeah.
What was that like?
So I just cut right back in front of him and ruddered through just a perfect ball, and I just had to make sure my feet were in bounds.
So that's kind of a risky move on your part, because if Brock doesn't read the same thing you do and throws it to the spot where you could have gone to, that ball's probably intercepted.
Yes, and that's just for me and him working all summer long, knowing where I'm going to be and knowing where he's going to throw the ball and knowing what he sees, and it's something you can't really teach between me and him.
So it's even more amazing than it really even looked on tape, because the know-it-all that you had to have to be in that spot was...
Yeah, 4 different outcomes that could have happened there. It's just amazing that what happened, and then we executed, and on to the next one.
You're watching from the sideline, but the defense came up huge late in that game. There's no way about it. They got shredded in the first half. Mount Union had their way just like you guys did, but the way they bounced back, the turnovers, the 2 fumbles, and then the pick by Beasley to end it, from your perspective, what was it like to see them to come through with that shining moment?
For me, watching was the one thing that impressed me about it that we've struggled to do all year was get a pass rush. And that was going to be a key to the game, and knowing to get in a 4th quarter battle with them, knowing that they haven't really played 4 quarters all year.
Yeah.
And then getting pressure on number 12, make him beat us, and then take away number 1, take away their best player.
Yeah.
And if they're going to beat us with somebody else, then so be it. Then they're the better team. But we took away their best guy, and that defense came up huge when they needed to.
You and Brock hugged after the game. What was that moment like?
It's just great feeling knowing that me and him aren't done playing with each other yet, knowing that we can go and do something special and take North Central College to somewhere where they've never been before.
Delaware Valley, 3rd round. This is the first time that you've ever been to the 3rd round. You get it at home. I know that there's a lot of visualization in athletes, that you try to put yourself, an advancement of the moment in the moment. What are you visualizing for Saturday?
Visualize just a strong team win. Doesn't matter what it looks like, doesn't matter how ugly it is or how good it looks, as long as we get a W and get moving on and focus on whoever we play next. That's all that matters, one game at a time. And then hopefully make it down there December 20th. It's everybody's goal. It's what we've been working hard for, and hopefully we can achieve that.
Trip to Texas. All right, we'll get you out of here in this. A couple of quick hits. All right, first one I want to get to, you just completed 13 hours there and back to Mount Union. What's your favorite thing to do on a road trip? Well,
considering Mount Union was pretty much the longest road trip on a bus that I've ever been on, I would say all of us guys, we just stuck together. We hung out. We all linked up to our laptops and watched the college basketball games, the college football games that were on Friday, Thursday. So we were just all watching the games together.
Pretty fun. I'm sure your parents and you guys were really just blowing your data plans right out the roof. Oh, yeah, for sure. And then the next one, and this is actually the final one, your favorite uniform combination?
For us, I'm going to have to go with the black, red, black. I don't know why. Some about our black helmets I like a lot. And then the red jerseys are my favorite out of all our combinations.
I didn't prep you for this, but I'm going to put you on the spot. What if you could change one thing about the uniform or add something to the uniform? What do you think of it to try and stylize it a little bit more?
Get us a all shiny red chrome helmet.
Yeah?
Like Utah or Louisville, those would be sweet.
Nice. That would give you the third different helmet with 3 different uniforms and I think 3 different pants, right?
Yep. I think that would complete the unique combination of North Central. That'd be sweet.
Nice.
Then you can go all red, all black, all white. You can do anything.
Try and make it happen.
Yeah, right?
Drew, thanks for hopping on to that. Best of luck against Del Val.
Thank you.
All right, coming up next, we got the Cardinal Corner. We'll be right back on the Red Zone.
This Red Zone segment is sponsored by Belgio's Catering.
After North Central's emphatic win in Alliance, Ohio, the bracket appears to be busted. The top-ranked Purple Raiders are out, the 5th-ranked Cardinals are in, and they get a quarterfinal game in their own nest. Delaware Valley is the opponent in a round in which North Central has only been to twice before, so let us review our history textbooks. In 2010, the Cardinals managed to find themselves at home against a different perennial powerhouse, UW-Whitewater. After crushing St. Norbert and then beating Ohio Northern, North Central lost to the Warhawks in heartbreaking fashion 2010. In 2010, fast forward 3 years and North Central posts 115 points combined in the first 2 rounds, demolishing Albion and Platteville on the way before running into Bethel on the road. The Royals, unlike Jon Snow, bent the knee, losing 41-17, and NCC moved on to the semifinals to face, Mount Union. And by now you ought to know what happened. This go-around, NCC is averaging 55 a game through the first 2 playoff games, and for a second straight week will have to face the nation's second-best defense. It's the 3rd time this Cardinals team has made it this far, so perhaps this year's the charm.
And we're back to finish up the Red Zone. Clark Tusher on the set, and I know we got a lot of football to talk about, but I want to start with some other sports. Men's basketball, a couple of wins recently, and this is a team that came into the season with high expectations. Nice to see them get back on the winning ways.
They went up to Kalamazoo to a tournament and won both games going away, doing the things that really the coaches try to instill in them, starting the game strong and, winning the rebounding battle, taking care of the basketball. And they did those things, pretty well. They had a loss the previous Tuesday where, just some shots didn't go down. So the things that you can do to mitigate that when you're, when the shots aren't falling is, rebounding and taking care of the ball. So you can really count on those things regardless of what else is happening. So there's a little more control that you can exert on a game that way. So definitely a good way to get started into heading into conference play starting this week.
Let's move to men's wrestling, and we were able to broadcast this meet, the most dominant wrestling meet I've ever seen. North Central, you could say, wiped the mats with Augustana. They shut them out, and that was a Herculean effort against a program that's typically very, very good.
Yeah, that's a team that used to be the opposite result about 6 years ago when Coach Norton got started with the program. And they beat us the first 3 years that he was here, and now we've won the last 3 by increasing margins each time. And certainly we didn't expect to hold them scoreless in that meet, but it kind of shows you the path that they've taken to get to that point, and certainly the strength of the team this year heading into their big tournament this weekend.
And they had several starters actually out of that meet, and they still, wow. Football, let's get to your perspective from Mount Union, because I know from your and my perspective, it's a little bit different than when you're a coach or a player. But from the press box, just the thrilling nature of that game, trying to keep up with it had to have been difficult, right?
Yeah, the SID at Mount Union, Lenny Reich, is a good friend of mine, and he and I were both kind of, as the game went on, there's all these, records and milestones and everything that are getting set, and we're calling this stuff out, so the members of the media there have all that information, and it was just like a conversation between the two of us the whole time, just yelling above everybody in the press box. And I can tell you that, everybody up there who's working from Mount Union, the conversation before the game was all about, rudder and the offense, and, there was some genuine nerves and some trepidation there about what we might see from that. And it didn't get any easier for those folks as the game went on. But they were very cognizant of the fact that we had a quality team coming in there. They're very knowledgeable about the sport of football, as you would expect at a program like that. So yeah, it was it was really interesting to see kind of how those conversations turned, as the game went back and forth. So, everybody was, regardless of what side anybody was on, there was a whole lot of excitement at how that game ended.
You and I were running around on the field trying to capture the essence of the celebration. Take me through what you were seeing through your eyes.
Well, I went down to the field at about 3 minutes to go on the clock, and as soon as I got down there, we turned the ball over on downs.
Yep.
And I thought, oh, what have I done? I got down there, and I've jinxed the whole thing. I've just pooched it myself, and so immediately I'm changing directions and heading down to the defensive end of the field, and just kind of watching this whole thing happen and trying to record it the best I can, for our social media coverage. And when they finally made the play at the end to seal it up, I've got my phone out and I've got the video recording, and I didn't realize that Jim Miller was right there, with his arms up and celebrating and everything. And I was just like, well, that's perfect. I couldn't have placed him any better in all of this. And that was a clip that we put out on Twitter right as soon as the game was over. It actually outperformed the Andrew Kamienski touchdown tweet from the Illinois Wesleyan game.
Really?
Which we hadn't anticipated at all. So
Wow.
There was 135,000 or so people checking that one out. And just happening to be in the right place at the right time. And if you want to understand anxiety, try chasing down players to go to a post-game press conference after a win like that, because that was the running around I was doing once the game was over. Guys are taking pictures together and celebrating as certainly they deserve to, but trying to take care of like one last bit of business before they really let them turn it loose. That was kind of my last real big challenge of the day.
And then you had to track me down too, because I'm running around trying to find my tripod.
That's correct. So getting everybody herded into the locker room space that we had for the press conference, and getting that going in a reasonable time frame. Because the site representative from the NCAA is there, looking at me like, are we getting this going here?
Yeah.
Or what? Like they really don't have a ton of patience for stuff like that. So that we were definitely under the gun there, but we were able to get it done.
It all worked out. Logistics for this week. You're hosting a third round game, which is a very exciting, but also I'm sure a tremendous amount of work.
It's very different from the last time we did this. We played Whitewater back in 2010, and that's a school that's relatively close, so they're sending a lot of media down here. We're playing a school just outside of Philadelphia. There's not quite as much of that happening. So it's just been a matter of doing a lot of coordinating and making sure we have people in the right place. It's a little easier this year because we depend heavily on students to staff a lot of the stuff that we do at games. We're still in class right now, as opposed to previous years where they've been gone for a couple of weeks. So filling all of those positions for game day is definitely a little easier with everybody still here. But we're anticipating that'll just keep cranking up as we get later into the week.
Awesome. We'll get you out of here on this, your quick hit. You took the trip to Mount Union, which begs the question, what is your favorite thing to do on a road trip?
When you have time to, this wasn't one of those trips where you really have time to do a whole lot of exploring the area. It's really fun to just kind of find something that's just distinctive to that area, and go experience that, whether it's dining or some other attraction or some natural feature or something like that that you can't find somewhere else.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to look a little bit for some of those, but definitely if you go to someplace more than once, typically you can find a list of things that you either want to do yourself or definitely recommend other people do. So you're doing a little bit of scouting and then just finding something that maybe is local to the area.
A little adventure.
Yep.
Well, awesome. Thanks so much for hopping on. And again, I've been saying this for 2 weeks. Hopefully we'll see you next week.
Right on.
That'll do it for this episode of The Red Zone. Delaware Valley comes to town on Saturday. Our broadcast begins with a pregame at 11:45. The kickoff from Benedetti Worley Stadium at noon. Until next time, I'm Kevin Jackman, and this has been The Red Zone.